Princess Anne's been working incredibly hard to save the children fund, and I'm her biggest fan because what she crams into a day I could never achieve. And we've always hit it off very well, and I just think she's marvelous.
Princess Anne just did the one thing Diana begged her to do before she died. In her final days, Diana pulled Anne close and said two words that Anne never forgot: "Save him." Then she broke open secrets about Harry that she had carried alone for decades. Confessions so raw and so heavy that Anne sat on them for years, unable to find the right moment to release them. That moment has now arrived. Diana's final warning about Harry is out, and when Harry heard his mother's last words directed at him from beyond the grave, he did not hold himself together. He broke down completely and could not stop. The confession Diana took to her grave. The phone rang in Harry's house in California, and he almost did not pick it up. He had been having one of those days where everything felt like too much. The stories about his marriage, his exit from the royal family were everywhere, and there was nothing he could do about any of it. He managed to pick up the phone and heard his aunt's voice. Something in his chest shifted immediately. "Harry, we need to talk," Anne said right away. She told him she had been holding something for him for a very long time. "You will need to be strong for this. Can I count on that?" Anne said. Harry's heart raced so fast as he managed to say yes. What she said next hit Harry like something physical. There was something horrifying, something that killed her every single day that Diana hadn't told her son. It all began after the divorce, inside Kensington Palace. The marriage was over. The institution had turned its back on her, and the walls of that enormous palace closed in tighter every single day. Diana felt like she was drowning. And in the middle of all of that, she had leaned on Harry, her youngest, her boy. She had let him sit beside her in the evenings when she could not hold herself together. She had let him climb into her lap when the crying came. She had let him press his small back against hers in the dark and tell her in that small, serious voice that everything will to be fine, Mama. She had taken a child who was barely old enough to understand what divorce meant and made him the person who held her together when no one else could. She went to her grave believing she had broken something in him because of it. She rehearsed the words 1,000 times. She wanted to sit across from him, take his hands and look him directly in the eye. She wanted to say, "That was never your burden. You were my child. I was supposed to hold you together, not the other way around." But she never found the right moment. And then the tunnel in Paris happened, and there were no more moments left. As Anne spoke, Harry remembered every single one of those evenings. He remembered Diana pulling him hard against her and crying into his hair. He remembered pressing himself against her as hard as his small body could manage, as if he could physically hold the pieces of her in place. Diana had gone to the grave with guilt, thinking she had traumatized her son. But hearing Anne speak now, Harry thought the opposite. His mother had taught him strength. He had learned from her pains. If she were here now, he would have told her it was fine. Those evenings were not a burden. He had never once resented a single second of any of it. Not 1 second. But she died believing she had damaged him. He had absolutely no idea that his mother needed him to say one simple thing to set her free. That was what shattered him completely. Then Anne told him what Diana had said about William. And this was the part that reframed everything. Diana had watched her 2 boys fight their entire childhood. Furious fights. According to sources, one fight over a baseball had been so intense that Diana had run downstairs to call palace guards when she couldn't separate them. That fight had left William with a broken lip. But Diana had noticed something that never changed no matter how bad the fight was. William always came back first. He was always the first to say, "I am sorry, Harry. We shouldn't fight. We are brothers." He had been doing that since they were barely old enough to walk. But Diana was terrified of one specific thing. She admitted to Anne that one day William might simply run out of capacity, of being the one to come to Harry first. And if that day ever came, William might not come back first. And Harry, her fierce and completely unbreakable Harry, would never go first himself. He did not have that in him, and the silence between them would grow into something vast and cold that neither of them could find their way back across, no matter how desperately they wanted to. Then Anne described one specific night, and Harry went completely still. He had been very young, burning with fever at Kensington Palace. His small body shook so violently the bed moved with him. Diana had sent for the doctor, but William did not wait for anyone. He climbed directly into Harry's bed and pulled his little brother hard against his chest. Harry's skin was scorching. William held him tighter. He pressed his face right against Harry's ear and said in a fierce, low voice, "Stay with me. Just stay with me." He pulled the blanket around both of them and held Harry's burning, shaking body through the entire night without closing his eyes once. Every time Harry stirred, William tightened his grip and set it again into his ear. "Stay with me." Diana stood in the doorway of that bedroom and watched her two boys and understood in that moment exactly what they were to each other underneath everything the world would eventually do to them. If the day ever came when the silence between them had grown too wide and Harry could not find his way back across it, she wanted him to remember that night. She wanted him to remember that William held him when he was burning, that his brother refused to let go even for 1 second. And then she said the line that stopped Harry cold on that phone call. William would be the one to come back, even after everything, even after whatever the world threw at the two of them. He would come back first. But Harry had to still be reachable when he did. Those words touched Harry completely. Anne could hear him breathing heavily over the phone. When Harry finally managed to breathe again, Anne told him there was something else, something Diana had said about his father. She said Harry would go looking for his father one day. He would go looking for warmth, for a man who would look him in the eye and say, "I see exactly who you are, and I am proud of every inch of it." But that was never what he was going to find. He was going to search for his father and find a king instead. A man so completely hollowed out by duty and institution and the relentless performance of royal life that he had nothing real left to give a son who needed something real more than he needed anything else in the world. Diana did not say it with bitterness. She said it with a grief that was almost unbearable to sit with. She was standing in 1997, watching a future she could already see clearly, and she was heartbroken by every detail of it. Harry could not speak for a long time after that. When his voice finally came back, it was completely destroyed. He asked Anne just one question. He asked her why she had waited so long to tell him all of this. Anne said she would answer that, but she had a few more things to tell him first. The prophecy she left him and why Anne chose now. Here's the full rewritten passage with everything placed and flowing. The prophecy she left him and why Anne chose now. There was something else Diana had said that summer at Balmoral, and it did not sound like a mother worrying about her son. It sounded like a woman who had already lived through everything this family was capable of, who had already felt every blow, who already knew exactly how the story ended, and who was quietly warning someone she loved before it was too late. Diana told Anne that Harry was not built for this family. Harry felt too much. He felt rejection too deeply. He felt betrayal too personally. He felt love too completely. He could not detach the way the palace needed him to. He could not smile through pain the way they trained you to. His heart stayed wide open. And in a place like this one, that is the most dangerous thing you can be. The palace would spend his entire life trying to grind that out of him. It would try to make him quieter, smaller, more manageable, more useful, more contained, and it would never work. Because Harry was not built to be managed. He was built to feel. And in that building, a person who felt everything without apology was considered a problem. But Diana also told Anne something harder. She said Harry's greatest weakness was the same as his greatest strength. He felt everything so deeply that when he was wounded, he could become someone who wounded back. He could be impulsive. He could burn things down in pain that deserved more patience. Diana loved him completely, and she saw that clearly. Then Diana said the thing that made Anne's blood run cold when she first heard it and had never fully warmed since. She said Harry would fall in love one day with someone who gave love without conditions. And the moment that happened, this family would call her a threat. They would pick her apart before she had done a single thing wrong. Diana was completely still when she said this. She was describing something she had already bled through herself. Then Anne told Harry that Diana reached out and grabbed her arm before she finished.